Hello, we meet again. So I know by the time this airs, you will join X Japan on stage tonight. So can you talk a little bit about the collaboration, what you have planned tonight?
No idea. Yoshiki said, why don't you introduce us or jump up on stage and do a song together? I go, I'm here for the Kiss Expo, and thank you for coming down, but I don't know if we have time to rehearse anything. He said, let's just do rock and roll all night. What key do you want to do it? A. So we haven't rehearsed or anything. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen out there.
I assume you're not nervous. You don't seem nervous.
Walked through the fire many times.
So what do you think of the whole visual K movement, the whole phenomenon of it? Do you
I
know?
absolutely love it.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well,
How would you describe it to an American audience that doesn't know what it is?
Kiss. The idea, and I don't mean that it comes from us or anything, I don't care about any of that. The idea is that when you're a fan and you go to a concert and you buy a ticket, you're spending a lot of money. And that's either your money or mom's money, but it's a lot of money, and they have to pay tax on it first. So it's even more money, because to make that back, you got to earn plus tax. And when you go to a concert, you're not just listening with your ears, you're bringing your eyes. My opinion is that it's the band's responsibility to feed your eyes and your ears. The Kiss thing was always, if we could take over everything, the virtual reality glasses of it all, if we could take you away and just make you forget about the traffic jam and your ears and your eyes and your senses, and just for those few hours, that's our responsibility. Make you forget about whatever's going on out there. And Visual K does that. The idea that bands are not willing to just get out there with an acoustic guitar and say, here's my next song, and charge the same price as X Japan. That's an insult. So these bands, us too, are willing to get out there. We take 2 hours just to put on the makeup and a year to plan the shows and spend millions of dollars on the show so that the fans walk out there and say, I'm blown away.
Do you think that could come back in a bigger way, a more mainstream way? Because we haven't seen a lot of bands like X Japan or Kiss, bands that take that much time visually in the mainstream, in rock in general in the mainstream.
Well, it is happening, even if it's surface, because they're doing bigger light shows and the big screens and back and all that. When I was a kid, there were no screens, there were no big light shows. In fact, there were hippies with bare feet sitting on Persian carpets, lighting incense and singing, strumming an acoustic guitar and looking down on the floor and singing about birds and rainbows. Kill me now. And charging full price. But at the same time, you had Hendrix and the Who just going bang, and just like, wow, yeah, you're alive. And that's what it is, this kind of, that primordial sitting by the fire, when fire was first caught, you catch the genie in the bottle, when we were running in the jungles and the hilltops of Europe and mastodons and things were trying to kill us. In the safety of the cave, that first fire was lit, and we started boom, 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 that first primordial beat. And when we heard the beat, those first songs were written, even though they didn't transcribe. That first utterance, that came before words or melody, because it was pre-language. Before we had verbal languages, the first things we started to do was howl at the moon and start beating drums and light the fire. That's what it's about. That's sort of the beating of it all. And then mankind understood, because it was originally men that did that. Men first wore makeup. Yes, it was men, not women. And it was religious or warriors. We started to actually understand that the visual part of it, not for the show, but how it made us feel. When warriors around the world went to war, they put makeup on their faces, fears and so on. And then it became sexy and all that. But first, it was religious and warrior. And if you have that fire in your belly, we haven't changed, and that's good.
That's very good.
These bands are committed to their fans more than the bands that get out there with an acoustic guitar and say, okay, here's my next song, and charge the same price as the big visual bands.
Last question, do you see a parallel between the KISS Army and the fans that you see here at the Visual Japan Summit in terms of their fervor?
Sure. It's called, it's not so much admiration or fandom, it's a gathering of the tribes. It's a gathering of people that believe in the same thing and revel in each other's each other's presence. They feel like they belong, and that's rare, because you can go to lots of concerts and that person looks different or feels different. Oh, I like that song, and that's what they're talking about, songs. But when you get a culture, that's what it is, a culture, the tribal culture, then you got something big. That's when one person starts jumping up and down, they all feel it, it all starts to happen. That's when it's real.
I said that was the last question, but this is really the last question. Do you think the bands that are here at Visual Japan Summit could break in America? I know you've talked before about the language barrier being a
Oh,
problem.
I think it's worse than that. I think it's racist.
Really?
Yeah, nobody says that word, but it's racist. America's a racist country. Many countries are. And yes, America invented rock and blues and jazz and all the modern popular forms. But what England has done with it, the UK islands, is much better than what we gave the world. The Grateful Dead. They gave us the Beatles, for fuck's sake. You know, and the Beatles and the Stones and Hendrix. Yes, I know he was American, but he had to go over there to make it. And so there is great music and great bands around the world that readily, and these countries readily accept American and English bands. KISS has no problem coming here. When we first came here in '76, we broke the Beatles record and all that, blah, blah, blah. And we sang in English. They had no problem with that. But for a Japanese band to come to America, but we can still go to the opera and listen to somebody, if you're an opera fan, or if you're not, you can still be awed by the grandeur of opera, even though you can't understand a word of it, because it's melody.
Well, hopefully the fact that you're championing bands like this will help the cause. We'll see, I guess.
See, I think what anybody that should do that appreciates grandeur is to don't do I was just doing an interview with somebody who said, what's your favorite ex-Japan song? Don't do that. That's pop stuff. It ain't about the songs. It's about immersing yourself into the whole thing of it. Buy a bunch of ex-Japan music. In the old days, put it on your turntable and lean back. You know, when I was growing up, there were singles bands. What's your next single and what's your first single? And then there were the album bands. You bought the albums, and the totality of it was the statement. Those Pink Floyd records, what's your favorite Pink Floyd song? Shut up. Just put on the whole thing and let it take you. And go to a concert.
All right.
See the whole thing. You don't have to know any songs. You'll be blown away. It's legitimately on par with anything that's great out there.
We're gonna be blown away tonight when you're on stage?
Oh yeah. If not that, I'll arrange myself to be blown. You see what I did there? See what I did there?
I saw.
These are semantics, but I'm not anti-semantic. Oh, you're killing me!
All right, well, I look forward to seeing you tonight. It's going to be exciting.
It was a delight to speak with me.
Thank you.